So Hirslanden is the largest private hospital group in Switzerland, and we have 17 clinics throughout the German and the French-speaking part of Switzerland. And amongst these 17 clinics, we have about 10,000 employees and about 3,500 affiliated doctors. Our doctors are all specialists in their field, so they are very specialized in what they do and in their area. And yeah, so this gives us a very in-depth approach to every medical field, but also we can cover a big variety of medical treatments within the clinics. Right now we're here in Zurich in the clinic. This is our original clinic. It's been here for a bit more than 90 years. So I think we're about 91 years. This is our Clinic Hirslanden, so it was the first one of the entire group. And we have here just under 400 beds for our patients. Have had a cooperation with Mind Klinika for a few years now. The idea is that, so I work for the international department. We look after the international patients that come to Hirslanden. It's a very different clientele based for various reasons, international patients, and we want to give them the importance that they have when they come, because of course if you seek medical treatment outside your home country, it's something that will take more organization. It's also emotional. It takes a lot of trust also that you build into the clinic and into the doctor in order to actually seek medical treatment outside of your, let's say, usual environment, away maybe also from your family, or you have your family traveling with you. So this is where the international team can support. We work together with Mind Klinika to make sure that we are sure of what the patient needs from a personal and from a medical perspective, and then we cover a lot of the administration around the patient, basically from the initial request until the final invoice is set up and the patient has gone home and hopefully recovered well. Usually we receive an initial request. Prior to the request, there will have been usually a consultation of the patient with maybe already at Mind Klinika, maybe with another doctor before going to Mind Klinika, meaning we already have certain picture material or a medical diagnosis, and with that we approach our doctors. So in this case, the connection to Mind Klinika and Professor Ernst and Professor Reich is that they will already usually be informed about what the patient's need is. For other medical areas, of course, there we reach out to the specialists. And then we have a look at what the medical need is of the patient, and we write up a cost estimate where we estimate how many nights the patient will be spending at the clinic. Sometimes the patient will want to have somebody in the room, like a relative in the room. So if these are wishes, then we take that up. We factor this in, and of course the medical treatment, and then we write up the cost estimate and we present it to the patient, so the patient is aware of the estimated cost. Of course, as it is in medical, you never know what can happen during a treatment, so it's possible that the cost may vary. I mean, in an ideal or in a wonderful scenario where the doctor decides that the patient can be discharged earlier, there might also be the possibility that the cost estimate was too high, But we also have to be aware of the fact that there can be complications during an operation, that a medical surgery can take longer, even if there's not massive complications, that an operation can take longer. And in these situations, or that the patient should stay maybe for a few days longer for additional monitoring, and then that way the cost estimate can increase. Yes. So this is something, or the costs can increase from the actual bill. So then the patient is here, and the patient gets private service here. So we have dedicated nursing staff. They speak multiple languages. We can't always guarantee that they will speak Hungarian, but we have multiple. We have nursing staff with cultural backgrounds that can speak English for sure, and that will be looking after the patient. We have a fantastic restaurant. Food can be ordered from the restaurant, and so from a culinary perspective, it's very pleasant. The stay is here, and yeah. So anything the patient will need, the rooms for our international patients are state of the art. It's all very nicely set up. We have a cafe. We've got a hairdresser in house. And basically, whatever our patients need. We do have patients that end up being here for quite a long time. So therefore, we make sure that they have. And then we have also patients, for example, that are very business focused. So there's a lounge that can be rented with a boardroom with a screen. So, if somebody needs to have a video conference or something, they can continue their business like that. Also, I mean, if the boardroom wants to be used, for example, for family visits, they can order from the restaurant, and then they can have lunch with their family there in a very intimate setting. The restaurant is very nice, and you will also there find your privacy. But if you want to really just be amongst your family, then that can be an option as well. Because we have 3,500 doctors. For the international setting, we work with about 500 of these. These are all like really, really good doctors, some of the best. A lot of them have studied internationally. And depending on the medical field, we make sure that, because every expertise of every medical area is very complex again in itself, we have specialists that are really specialized in a specific area. So we make sure that the right specialist is with the right patient. And if, let's say, we get a medical diagnosis and we reach out to a doctor, the doctor will tell us, as well, like, oh, this is my medical area of expertise. Or they can also say, I have a colleague, because we have such a strong network, they can always go and reach out to the other expert. Or maybe there's a diagnosis, but there's a side diagnosis or a pre-existing condition where we have to monitor it from another medical area. So they can work together. Our doctors work together very well. So there's a very strong network here amongst the doctors. It can be possible that the patient is fit to travel after the operation, so they might stay for a few more nights just to be monitored. And if the doctor gives them the permission to be fit for travel, they can go home. The doctor might say they want to monitor the patient for a few days longer if they feel that there's something critical they need to keep an eye on. Or otherwise, if they decide they want to do rehabilitation afterwards, if this is needed, we organize together with the doctor the rehabilitation. So we work with all the big rehabilitation centers in Switzerland. The doctors give their recommendation, and we make sure that that transfer works smoothly if it's here in Switzerland. And otherwise, the patient, if he or she wants to go home and is fit to travel, they are, of course, welcome to go home and have maybe certain checks after a while later on, either back home at Mind Klinika, for example, or Hungary is not that far. They can travel quite easily. We are not a rehab center. We're not a rehab clinic, so we don't actually do the entire rehabilitation from the start to the end. Of course, the patient is monitored, but if there is a longer rehabilitation planned, we work with the rehabilitation centers in Switzerland, and we will organize the transfer. Our international team will organize also transfer to this clinic, and that they have all the necessary information for the patient to actually go into their rehabilitation. If it's here in the country, this is something that we can offer. So if we're looking at the medical area of oncology, of course, they can come back for treatment or radiotherapy after the treatment, depending on the interval that the doctor has set for them. So this is obviously an option that our clinic offers. We have everything in-house here, and they can also then have their consultation when they come, and they also do their radiotherapy, and then they can go back and they can travel between their home and the clinic. The reason why people actually seek medical treatment abroad, I think it's very important to realize that. I mean, one thing is, we have obviously a very, very good infrastructure that we can offer to our patients. But this is other places, other countries have this as well. And I think what's very important here is we have that strong interdisciplinary approach, where a clinic is not only focused on one or two medical specialists, like medical disciplines, but we are very widely set up. And then also what you have is, because we're in a private clinic group setting, you have the highest discretion. So this is something we can absolutely arrange things so that nobody knows, who walks in and who walks out. This is something that's very important. So discretion is a big point. And then probably also a very important point is that our waiting times are short. So when the patient has a request, from the initial request to the treatment, it can go very fast, depending on how sure the patient is of their decision. We can get a consultation within a few days with one of our doctors, and operations can happen pretty much immediately afterwards. So within a few days range. So I think this is very important for the patients to know that they're well looked after, and that we know time can be urgent. Newsweek has a ranking every year that they publish. Newsweek is an American magazine, and they publish every year the ranking. And multiple clinics of Hirslanden have made their actually very high rankings worldwide. It's also public hospitals, so they really look at all the clinics worldwide, be it private or university hospitals, public hospitals, and they make a ranking amongst all hospitals, and they rate based on different treatment areas, but also different services. What are very good clinics worldwide, and this ranking is published every year, so you can always have a look at where your own clinic is standing, and we always make at least the top 20 worldwide, and with multiple clinics.